The lock clicks. Thunder rattles the windows. Nicole's heart skips as James steps closer, eyes dark, voice low. "Before you leave, tell me the truth," he says, holding her in that silent storm. You're in the room too, feeling the tension, the secret burning the air. Welcome to Mr. Leonardo Stories, your home for stories where love is never simple and one secret can change everything. If you're new here, subscribe. If you believe love and pain sometimes walk hand in hand, hit like and comment with your thoughts. Would you forgive someone who shattered your heart if they said the secret was all for love? Let's begin. Nicole doesn't look like a woman who keeps world-shaking secrets. By day, she moves through the glossy halls of Langford Holdings, sharp, calm, hiding tired eyes behind a perfect smile. But every night, it's just her and Bianca. A warm little apartment, pasta on the stove, homework spread out on the table. Bianca's giggle is the only thing Nicole counts on. She tucks her daughter in, brushes back her curls, and lies down with old hopes aching in her chest. Her phone lights up with work emails, but her heart waits for a message that never comes. No one at the office knows why Nicole never stays out late. No one asks why she sometimes glances at the CEO's private elevator, lips pressed tight. She's the woman who works hard, never gossips, and keeps her past hidden. But every night, when Bianca asks, "Mummy, do I have a daddy?" Nicole's voice cracks, just for a second. She always answers, "You have me. I'm enough." She hugs Bianca closer, but the truth burns inside her. Up on the top floor, James Kingston lives behind glass, steel, and schedules. He built his world from nothing, every inch of Langford Holdings stamped with his will. People respect him. People fear him. No one really knows him. He's never caught off guard, except that one night 2 years ago when everything changed. James stays late in the office every night, not because he loves work, but because he's afraid to go home. Every relationship ended with betrayal. He trusts numbers, not people. He sees Nicole's dedication, her sharp mind, her quiet beauty. He never lets himself feel more than respect. At least, that's what he tells himself. But tonight, the storm outside mirrors the storm in his chest. Rain pounds the windows, the power flickers. Everyone's gone home, except Nicole, bent over last-minute numbers, and James, lost in spreadsheets and regrets. A sharp crack. Lights go out. Nicole gasps, dropping her pen. James's voice calls softly from the doorway. "It's just the breaker. Give me a minute." She follows, clutching her phone, heart racing, not from fear but from memories. When the lights return, James is closer than she expected. They stand in the dim boardroom, faces inches apart. She smells rain on his shirt, cologne and clean skin. He watches her mouth, then looks away. Thunder rolls, shaking the glass. James walks over, locks the door. Nicole's breath hitches. She sees the strain in his jaw, the question in his eyes. Everything unsaid presses between them. James leans in, voice rough. "I need to know. After all this time, why do you avoid me?" Nicole's mask slips, just for a heartbeat. She looks away, then meets his gaze, steady but soft. "We're not the same, James. Not in this world. You have everything. I only have Bianca." The name slips out like a secret. James blinks. He's heard her daughter's name, but never felt its weight until now. He steps closer, searching her face. "Is she—" Nicole's hand trembles. She looks down. Lightning flashes, outlining her silhouette, strong, beautiful, scared. "Yes," one word. It breaks the room open. In that silence, memories pour in. 2 years ago, the company's gala. James watched Nicole slip outside, lonely but radiant in a blue dress. He followed. A shared drink. Real talk. Laughter that hurt and healed. Thunder, then a kiss. Slow, searching, hungry. The night blurred after that. Gentle touches, tangled sheets, whispered names. No regrets. Only the morning after, and a world too cruel for their secret to live. Nicole left before sunrise, his number saved, unsent. She vanished into her small world, guarding her heart and her child. Back in the boardroom, Nicole's voice is steady but quiet. I never wanted to ruin your life. I just wanted Bianca to be safe. James stares, all color drained from his face. He whispers, "Why didn't you tell me?" Nicole blinks away tears. "I saw what your money, your name did to people. I was afraid for her. I was afraid of losing myself." James's hands shake. He steps back, running a hand through his hair, grief and wonder tangled in his eyes. For a long moment, no one speaks. The storm howls outside. Nicole presses her palm to the glass, fighting back emotion. James moves behind her, his reflection joining hers in the dark. His hand hovers above her shoulder, then settles, warm and steady. She leans into him, just for a second, relief and longing mingling. He says, voice barely a whisper, "I missed you every night." Nicole turns, letting herself look at him, really look. Their faces are close. She feels the old pull, the ache that never left. He leans in, lips almost touching, but stops himself. "This changes everything," he says, voice thick with desire and fear. Nicole nods. Yes, it does. Outside, the city is drenched in rain. But in this room, the truth is finally out. James has a daughter he never knew. Nicole's world hangs in the balance. Desire, regret, hope, all alive, raw and ready to explode. Will he claim his family, or let fear rule him again? Will Nicole let him in, or protect her heart at all costs? Before we find out, remember to subscribe. Share your thoughts below. Would you forgive? Would you risk it all for love? Stay with us. Their story is only beginning. Nicole wakes before the sun. Her apartment is small but filled with warmth. Bianca's tiny shoes by the door. Colorful art taped to the fridge. Sunlight peeking through old curtains. She sits at the kitchen table, hair pulled back, eyes on her phone as she checks the day's schedule. Next to her, Bianca snores softly, sprawled on the couch with her stuffed panda. Nicole smiles, traces her daughter's cheek, and lets herself linger in the peace. Coffee brews. Nicole tiptoes, careful not to wake Bianca yet. She writes a note for the babysitter, lays out school clothes, and sets a bowl of fruit at Bianca's place. Every movement is careful, gentle, shaped by years of doing it alone. She's proud of her routine, her stability. She built this life, brick by brick. When Bianca wakes, the world brightens. She's all energy, big eyes, wild hair, questions tumbling from her mouth. "Why do we have to hurry, Mama? Do you have to save the world again today?" Nicole laughs, pours juice, and brushes crumbs from Bianca's face. "I don't save the world, baby. I just work with numbers." Bianca shrugs. Numbers are magic. Nicole's chest tightens. Some mornings, Bianca's words cut deeper than she means. They eat together, quick, messy, full of giggles and little hands reaching for more. Nicole ties Bianca's hair into 2 puffs. Bianca complains, but Nicole just kisses her forehead. "Will you be late again?" Bianca asks. Nicole tries to keep her voice light. "I'll do my best to be early, but you know work is important." Bianca nods, but her smile fades a little. Nicole hugs her tight. "You're the most important." Nicole walks Bianca to school, raincoat in one hand, lunchbox in the other. The street is busy, but Nicole keeps Bianca close, her heart always alert. She watches her daughter skip ahead, greeting teachers and friends. At the gate, Bianca turns back, arms open. Nicole kneels, holding her close, breathing in the scent of her hair. "I love you, Mummy. Come home soon." Nicole holds back tears. "I promise, baby. I always come back." She waits until Bianca disappears inside, waving until she can't see her anymore. Nicole blends into the crowd on the train, one of 1,000 tired faces. Headphones in, she listens to a voice memo. Reminders for a meeting with the CEO, numbers swirling in her mind. But behind her calm face, nerves prickle. She checks her phone for messages, but none come. Every morning she wonders, will today be the day she's finally seen for more than just her work? Will anyone notice how hard she fights to keep everything together? She scrolls through photos of Bianca, at the park, eating ice cream, sleeping with her arms flung wide. Nicole tucks her phone away and steels herself for the day. Langford Holdings towers above the city, a glass fortress. Nicole walks through security, badge flashing, head high. She's always early, always prepared. Colleagues greet her politely, but nobody lingers. She's the numbers queen, the woman with the sharp mind and quiet tongue. She slides into her cubicle, boots up her computer, and lets her work swallow her. Meetings, emails, numbers. She loses herself in the rhythm, but her thoughts drift. James Kingston's name flashes in an email. Nicole pauses, fingers hovering, remembering his voice from the night before. She shakes off the thought, answers the message, and moves on. There are whispers in the break room. Promotions, bonuses, after-work drinks. Nicole is rarely invited, and she never stays late. She listens but doesn't join in. She has a child, a second life no one here understands. Her manager compliments her work, but it's always with a tone of mild surprise. You never miss a deadline, Nicole. Don't you ever sleep? Nicole smiles. Coffee helps. She's proud, but sometimes it stings, being both invisible and indispensable. At lunch, Nicole eats alone, eyes on her phone. She texts the babysitter, asks for a picture of Bianca's lunch. The sitter replies, "All good." She's happy. Nicole lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. She scrolls through old texts, stopping at one from Bianca last week. "I made you a card. Love you, Mummy." Nicole's heart squeezes. She saves the photo, wishing she could be two places at once. By 3, the office is buzzing with deadlines and last-minute requests. Nicole handles every crisis, her face calm, her tone gentle but firm. James walks by her desk, nodding once. Their eyes meet, and something electric passes between them. No one notices, but Nicole feels the heat, the memory, the secret she keeps locked away. After work, Nicole picks up Bianca. Their reunion is always a burst of joy. They walk home in the fading light, sharing stories and ice cream cones. Back inside, Bianca colors at the table, while Nicole reheats leftovers. Music plays softly. Nicole dances in the kitchen, swaying with Bianca, laughter filling the room. Bianca looks up, searching her face. "Why are you sad sometimes, Mama?" Nicole kneels, hugs her daughter tight. "I'm not sad, baby. I just miss you when I'm gone." Bianca giggles. "I'm always here." After bedtime stories, Nicole sits at the window, city lights flickering below. She thinks of James, his eyes, his strength, his distance. She wonders if he ever thinks of her, if he'll ever know the truth about Bianca. She lets herself imagine a world where they are a family. But the dream is fragile, shattering when the clock ticks past midnight and she is still alone. She kisses Bianca's forehead, tucks her in, and promises herself, one day things will be different. Have you ever had to choose between love and survival? Share your thoughts in the comments. James Kingston stood at the window of his penthouse office, staring out over a city he'd conquered. Miami's towers glittered beneath a silver sky, their neon reflections cut by sheets of rain. He looked like a man who had everything: power, control, money, the kind of influence that makes people whisper his name before he even enters the room. Yet, none of it made the silence go away. He never let himself show weakness. James's schedule was a machine, back-to-back meetings, endless calls, a relentless pace. He preferred it that way. The noise kept the old wounds quiet. At 40, he had mastered the art of isolation. The only things in his life that stayed loyal were numbers and routines. Everything else, lovers, friends, even family, had either betrayed him or walked away. This office was his castle, chrome and glass, walls of awards, news clippings, and childhood photos tucked behind file cabinets. A place where nobody came unless invited. Even his mother, Evelyn, only visited by appointment. She liked to remind him that love was a liability. He didn't argue. He'd watched her guard her heart with iron and suffer less because of it. But James wasn't made of iron. Late at night, after the world faded into city lights, he would take off the mask. Sometimes he poured a glass of bourbon and stared at his reflection in the black windows. Other nights, he'd walk the halls, hands shoved in his pockets, mind drifting to memories he tried to forget. He remembered the taste of loss. First, his father, gone when James was only 14. Then a string of friends and lovers who saw his ambition as a weapon, not a gift. Trust became currency, spent carefully, never given twice. Most days, he convinced himself he didn't need anyone. But there were cracks, fleeting moments where he'd glimpse his own loneliness, sharp as broken glass. James kept a close eye on everyone at Langford Holdings. No one slipped through his notice, least of all Nicole. She was unlike the others. She didn't fawn, didn't play office games, didn't care about being noticed. She worked harder than anyone, never stayed late for happy hour, and never used her charm to get ahead. He respected that. Maybe he admired it. Maybe, in the quiet corners of his mind, he ached for it. He'd tried to keep things professional. Years of leadership had trained him to build walls. Yet every time Nicole presented a report, every time she walked into his office with her calm, steady eyes, the walls thinned. He noticed things he shouldn't, the way her hair caught the light, the way her voice steadied him, the softness in her laugh. He tried to ignore it. He tried to forget the night of the gala. That night haunted him. James had seen Nicole standing alone on the balcony, city lights blazing behind her. She looked lost, but when she turned, her face was all quiet strength. They talked. He told her things. He never told anyone, how success was a prison, how trust always came back to bite. She listened, didn't judge, didn't interrupt. And then she touched his hand. For the first time in years, James felt seen. Their kiss was slow and uncertain at first, then hungry, as if they'd both been starving for this. He remembered the feel of her dress, the warmth of her body against his. Later, tangled in sheets, he felt her hands on his chest, her breath at his ear, the honest way she whispered his name in the dark. He wanted to keep her there forever, but when he woke, she was gone. She left a note. "Thank you for seeing me, Jay," that was all. He never asked why she left. He figured it was better not to want things he couldn't have. Still, he'd spent months replaying that night in his mind, wondering if he could have changed the ending. Now, whenever he passed her in the office, his chest tightened. He'd find excuses to call her into meetings, review reports she'd already perfected, and ask her opinion when he didn't need it. He wanted to hear her speak, see her eyes flicker with thought. He wanted her to see him, not the CEO but the man beneath the title. But every time their eyes met, Nicole would look away, polite but distant. She never gave him more than she had to. The boundary was clear. James respected it. But sometimes, in the late hours, he wondered if she remembered that night at all. James's reputation was bulletproof, but he wasn't immune to office whispers. He heard the gossip, how he was cold, unreachable, obsessed with numbers. It never bothered him. Let them talk. The truth was safer, locked away. His only friend in the building was Nolan, his chief of staff. Nolan had a talent for knowing when to talk and when to leave James alone. That afternoon, Nolan poked his head in. "Board wants you in at 5. Your mother called again. Should I tell her you're out?" James smirked. "Tell her I'm buried in work. She'll believe it." Nolan lingered a moment. "You look tired, boss." James shrugged. "We're all tired." After Nolan left, James sat down, rubbing his eyes. On his desk, Nicole's latest report waited for approval. Her handwriting on the cover made him pause, neat, precise, a line of blue ink curling at the end. He opened the file, but the words blurred. Instead, he pictured Nicole at home. Did she have someone waiting? A husband? A boyfriend? Was she lonely too? He tried not to care, but something inside him had already chosen. Work went on. By 7, the building emptied, leaving James and a skeleton crew behind. He liked the quiet. But tonight, a storm rolled in, battering the windows, making the city seem distant, unreachable. He saw Nicole in the break room, finishing a call. Her hair was damp from the rain, her skin flushed. She caught his eye, smiled softly, then turned away. He stood in the doorway for a moment, fighting the urge to cross the room, to say anything that might make her stay. He watched her gather her things, poised and graceful, even when she was tired. James wondered what she would say if he asked her about that night. Would she admit to remembering, or would she shut him out? He knew he was playing with fire, but tonight, the need to know, the need to be close, overpowered his usual restraint. He returned to his office, heart pounding, mind racing with questions he'd never dared to ask. Maybe the only thing scarier than wanting her was admitting how much he wanted to be wanted back. As the rain beat harder against the glass, James made a decision. He would not let this night pass like all the others. He would find Nicole before she left, and he would ask the question that haunted them both. He turned off his screen, grabbed his jacket, and stepped into the storm. The city fell quiet as the storm pressed in, smearing neon across glass and swallowing sound in sheets of rain. Langford Holdings emptied floor by floor, until only the building's heartbeat remained, soft hums, the low growl of thunder, and the pulse of two people who could not bring themselves to leave. Nicole finished her last report, hands stiff, shoulders tense. She didn't notice James watching from his office, and shadows stretched across the floor. He stood by the window, tie loose, jacket draped over a chair, every inch of his body coiled with need and hesitation. He saw her tuck a curl behind her ear, saw her eyes dart to the clock. She wanted to go home, but something kept her in her chair. Maybe she felt the pull too. Lightning flashed. The overhead lights flickered, then steadied, then faded out again. Nicole glanced up, breath catching. For a moment, the office was bathed in blue. A crash of thunder. The whole building shivered. James stepped into the corridor, footsteps steady. "You okay?" he called, voice carrying down the hall. Nicole stood, trying to hide her nerves. "It's only the storm," she replied. "I've got a little more to finish. I'll go soon." But her words were softer than she meant. James watched her from the doorway. Rainwater beaded on the window behind him, highlighting the line of his jaw. "You don't have to rush," he said. "The storm's just getting started." Nicole tried to focus on her screen. But with every gust of wind, every flash of light, the world outside shrank, and the silence between them grew heavy. She could smell his cologne, faint but unmistakable, a note of cedar and something darker. He moved closer, slow, almost cautious. "You're not scared of storms, are you?" She met his gaze, steady as ever. "I've lived through worse than a little rain, James." He nodded, but a hint of a smile played at his lips. "Good, because it looks like we're trapped for a while." Lightning struck again. The power flickered, died, then came back in pale emergency light. Nicole's laugh was a little too loud. "Guess I'll have to finish this by candlelight." James chuckled. "Let me help." She raised an eyebrow, skeptical but amused. "You? Help with spreadsheets?" "Stranger things have happened." He pulled up a chair, sitting beside her, their knees almost touching. The air felt charged, thick with words unspoken. Nicole tried to ignore the heat rising between them, the memory of another night, another storm, 2 years ago, a night she'd spent memorizing the curve of his shoulders, the shape of his hands. She pushed those thoughts down, but they crawled back every time she looked at him. They worked in silence, sharing the screen, their arms brushing now and then. Outside, thunder echoed like a challenge. James leaned in, peering at her work. His face was close, his breath warm on her cheek. "You're good at this," he said, his voice rough. Nicole shrugged, but her cheeks flushed. "It's numbers. Numbers always tell the truth." He looked at her, eyes searching. "Do they?" She glanced away, heart racing. "Most of the time." He smiled, the kind of smile that made her want to trust him, made her want to believe in impossible things. For a moment, the office faded, the storm faded, and it was just the two of them, old wounds and old wishes tangled in the dim light. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked suddenly, his voice low. Nicole stiffened. "Regret what?" "That night." The room grew smaller. She swallowed, weighing her answer. "No," she whispered. "But sometimes I regret what came after." James looked away, pain flickering across his face. "I thought I did something wrong," he said quietly. Nicole shook her head. "You didn't. Life just got complicated." She almost reached for his hand, but stopped herself. A heavy silence. Then another crash of thunder, close, powerful. The lights died for good, plunging them into darkness, the city outside a blur of moving lights. James stood, found a flashlight in his drawer, and clicked it on. Soft white light fell across Nicole's face. Her eyes sparkled, her lips parted. He stared at her, breath catching. "I'm glad you stayed," he said, voice hushed. She wanted to look away, but the words held her. "I didn't have much choice, did I?" "You always have a choice," he replied. He sat beside her again, closer now, the warmth of his body filling the space between them. Their knees touched. Nicole looked down, tracing circles on the desk with one finger. "James, why are you really here tonight?" He hesitated, then let out a shaky breath. "Because every night I tell myself I'm done wanting things I can't have, but when I see you, I want everything all over again." Her pulse thumped in her throat. The air grew thick. She met his gaze, saw the hunger there, the longing and regret. "I never stopped thinking about you," he whispered. Nicole's voice trembled. "You shouldn't say that." "Why not?" "Because it makes this harder." He reached out, gently taking her hand. His touch was warm, careful but insistent. She let him, her fingers lacing with his. James traced her knuckles with his thumb, memorizing the shape of her hand. "You make me forget how to be alone," he said. Nicole closed her eyes, let herself lean in, just a little. Rain battered the windows, wind howled, but inside the boardroom, time slowed. James tilted her chin up, searching her face for permission. She opened her eyes. Their lips met, soft at first, then deeper, years of longing pouring into a single kiss. It wasn't rushed. It was the kiss of people who knew what it meant to lose, who knew that every moment counted. James's hands moved to her waist, pulling her closer, careful and desperate all at once. Nicole melted into him, her fingers tangling in his hair. They broke apart, breathless, staring at each other in the thin light. James brushed his thumb over her cheek, voice shaking. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to—" She stopped him with another kiss, bolder this time. When they finally parted, Nicole pressed her forehead to his. "We can't do this," she whispered, her voice torn. James held her, not letting go. "Why not?" "Because I have too much to lose." He nodded, understanding shadowing his eyes. "But if you wanted to, just tonight, you could let yourself forget. Let me hold you. No one would ever know." Nicole hesitated. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to remember what it felt like to be seen, to be cherished. But before she could answer, a sharp knock echoed through the dark. The security guard's voice drifted in, muffled by the door. "Everything all right in there?" James pulled away, steadying himself. "We're fine. Just waiting out the storm." Nicole straightened her blouse, catching her breath. She gathered her things, but James caught her wrist, his grip gentle but urgent. "Don't go," he said quietly. She looked at him, torn between longing and fear. "I can't stay, James. Not tonight." He released her, pain flickering across his face. The distance between them was sharp, but the desire hung heavy in the air. Nicole left the room, heart pounding, his scent clinging to her skin. She took the stairs down, slow, letting the rain outside wash over her when she finally stepped into the street. Above her, in the boardroom, James stood at the window, watching her disappear into the night. He pressed his palm to the glass, wishing he'd asked her to stay, wishing he'd said the words he'd kept buried too long. The storm raged on. Neither of them slept. Have you ever wanted someone so much it hurt, but let them go anyway? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you believe in second chances. Morning came slow, grey, and restless. Nicole woke to Bianca's sleepy hugs, but her mind wandered back to the storm, the office, James's hands, and his breath on her cheek. She moved through her morning routine on autopilot, never letting the night leave her skin. When she kissed Bianca goodbye at school, her lips trembled. The longing hadn't faded. It had grown teeth. She arrived at Langford Holdings early. The halls echoed with the faint sound of distant voices and clacking heels. But the boardroom sat empty, filled only by last night's shadows. Nicole slipped past her colleagues, hoping to hide the wildness in her eyes. James was waiting for her. He was dressed sharply, suit perfect, but his eyes were tired, burned out by what they didn't say. As Nicole stepped into the boardroom, the door closed behind her with a solid, final sound. He didn't look up right away. He let her stand there, feeling the weight between them. She broke first. "About last night." James cut her off, voice quiet but hard. "Sit down, Nicole." She hesitated, but the command was gentle. He looked at her, gaze searching, dark with questions he could no longer keep to himself. He locked the boardroom door. The click made her shiver. James leaned back in his chair, studying her as if he were seeing her for the first time. "We need to talk," he said. Nicole kept her chin high. "About what?" He let the silence stretch until it almost hurt. "Don't play dumb," he said finally. "You know there's something here. You felt it last night. Don't tell me you didn't." She swallowed, throat dry. "I'm not denying anything. But you're my boss, James. What happened, what almost happened, was a mistake." He shook his head, eyes narrowing. "That's not the truth, and you know it. I've spent years pretending there was nothing between us. I'm tired of pretending." He rose, pacing the length of the room, fingers raking his hair. Nicole watched him, emotions warring in her chest. She wanted to reach for him, wanted to run. He stopped, hands braced on the back of a chair, voice trembling. "I remember every second of that night, Nicole. The way you looked at me, the way you left without saying goodbye. I've thought about it every day since." She blinked hard, memories flooding her. James turned to face her, the pain in his eyes as raw as hers. "Why did you leave that morning? Why did you never give me a chance to explain?" Nicole's jaw tightened. "Because I didn't want to be someone's regret, James. I didn't want to be a mistake you hid away." He moved closer, close enough that she could feel the heat of his body, the unsteady rhythm of his breath. "You were never a mistake," he said, voice breaking. She shook her head, trying to keep her composure. "Then why did you never call? Why did you act like nothing happened?" He stared at her, jaw clenched. "Because I was scared. Scared of wanting you. Scared you'd see the real me and run. I've been running from myself for years." Nicole's anger softened, replaced by sadness. She let herself look at him, really look. James's face was open, vulnerable. For once, he wasn't hiding. She stepped closer, close enough that her perfume caught his senses, sweet and warm. "James, if you want honesty, here it is. That night, it changed everything for me. But it also broke something. I couldn't let you in, not all the way. I was scared too." He nodded, eyes locked on hers. "What are we supposed to do now?" Nicole shrugged, voice barely above a whisper. "We start by telling the truth." The air between them buzzed. James reached for her, his fingers brushing her arm, pulling her into him. Their lips met in a kiss that was fierce and desperate, mouths open, hands tangled. In hair and fabric, hearts pounding as the wall between them cracked for good. They broke apart only when the need for breath became too much. Nicole looked at him, cheeks flushed, hair wild. "I'm tired of secrets, James." He cupped her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. "Then tell me everything." Nicole pulled away, spine straightening. She looked down, words trembling at her lips. "There's something you don't know." James stilled. The warmth between them shifted, a shadow moving through the light. He waited, silent, giving her space to decide. Nicole walked to the window, rain still streaking the glass. She pressed her palm there, searching for courage. "When I left that morning, I wasn't just running from you, I was running from the truth. I found out I was pregnant, James. I had a daughter. Her name is Bianca." The room froze. James didn't speak. He simply stared, the world narrowing to the shape of Nicole's back, the trembling in her voice, the meaning of her words. He took a step, then another, until he stood beside her. "Bianca," he repeated, the name foreign on his tongue. "She's mine?" Nicole turned, tears swimming in her eyes. "Yes." James staggered back, as if the truth had hit him with physical force. He grabbed the edge of the table, steadying himself, breath ragged. "You had my child and never told me." Nicole's voice cracked. "I wanted to, but I was scared. I thought you'd hate me or worse, want to control us. I couldn't let you break her heart the way mine was broken." James's face twisted, anger, pain, disbelief all warring at once. "I would have been there, Nicole. I would have done anything." She shook her head, arms folded tight. "I needed to know I could do it alone. I needed to keep her safe." He paced the room, fists clenching and unclenching. "Safe from me, safe from your world, James. The money, the gossip, the pressure. I didn't want her dragged into something she couldn't understand." He looked at her, tears in his eyes. "All this time, I thought I lost you, but I lost more than I ever knew." Silence fell, heavy as the storm outside. James finally spoke, voice soft. "I want to meet her. I want to know my daughter." Nicole looked up, searching his face for anger, for blame. All she saw was longing. She nodded, tears falling freely now. "If you want to try, I won't stop you. But you have to earn it, James, for her, for me." He closed the distance, gathering her in his arms. "I will. I swear I will." Nicole let herself sink into his embrace, the years of hurt and hope melting between them. Their lips met again, this time slower, sweeter. James's hands framed her face, holding her gently, as if she was something precious. When they finally parted, the air felt lighter, full of possibility. Nicole pressed her forehead to his. "I'm still scared." James smiled, a real, broken, hopeful smile. "So am I. But for once, I want to be brave, with you." The rain outside softened, sunlight leaking through the clouds. For the first time in years, the world felt open again. For the rest of that day, Nicole walked through the halls of Langford Holdings as if her soul was exposed. Each conversation, every meeting, felt strangely distant. Her mind replayed James's voice, soft with shock, trembling with longing. She tried to focus on work, but the weight of the secret she'd carried for years had grown lighter and heavier at the same time. She called the babysitter at lunch, just to hear Bianca's laughter through the phone. She needed that sound, a reminder of the joy and innocence she'd fought to protect. Bianca asked, "Will you come home early?" Nicole promised, "I'll do my best." But her heart was already somewhere else, tangled in memories she couldn't push aside. That afternoon, James sent a message. "Can we talk after work? Please. I need to understand." Nicole hesitated, then replied, "Meet me at the park bench by the fountain." 7 o'clock. The hours dragged. When the building finally emptied, Nicole stepped into the evening air, her pulse racing. She reached the park as the sun slid behind the skyline, painting the world in gold and lavender. James was waiting, his suit jacket gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, looking more vulnerable than she'd ever seen. He stood as she approached. "Thank you for meeting me," he said quietly. Nicole sat, folding her hands in her lap. She didn't look away. For a moment, neither spoke. The sounds of children's laughter and birds at dusk softened the air around them. James broke the silence. "How long have you been alone with this?" Nicole swallowed. "Since the day I found out. Since the day after." She trailed off, cheeks flushing. James reached over, fingers brushing hers. "Tell me what happened, Nicole. I want to know everything." Nicole nodded, heart pounding. She took a shaky breath. 2 years ago. It was the night of the gala, the one where the world felt like it belonged to everyone else. Nicole hadn't wanted to go. She hated pretending, hated the polite smiles and glass clinking around people who didn't know her story. But work demanded it, and so she came, alone, in a blue dress that made her feel seen. She remembered stepping out onto the balcony, city lights swimming below. She'd needed air, a moment to be herself. Then James was there, impossibly tall, a little lost, holding a glass of whiskey and looking every bit the king and the exile. They talked about nothing and everything. He told her about growing up poor, about a father who worked himself to death, about the loneliness of having everything but someone to share it with. She listened, surprised by his honesty, by the gentleness beneath his power. A breeze lifted her hair. He touched her cheek, so softly she almost missed it. Then came the kiss, slow, questioning, like he was asking if she would let him in. She did. The world faded to skin and whispered names. The suite was dark, quiet, lit only by the city's distant glow. He undressed her with careful hands, his mouth hot against her shoulder, his breath tangled with hers. Nicole remembered how safe she'd felt, how much she'd wanted to believe she could keep that feeling forever. Afterward, they lay tangled together, hearts still racing. He told her, "You make me want to be better." She whispered, "You make me want to be seen." She fell asleep with his arms around her, thinking she'd finally found something real. But by morning, the magic had turned to fear. Nicole woke early, heart pounding. She watched James sleep, memorizing the peace on his face, knowing it wouldn't last. She dressed quietly, left a thank you note, and slipped away before dawn. She spent the next week replaying that night. Every time she saw James at work, she remembered his hands, his voice, the gentle ache of wanting him again. But he was the CEO, and she was a single woman with too much to lose. So she stayed silent. After the gala, a month later, she felt sick. Morning after morning, her stomach twisted. She saw the test's second line and cried, not because she was scared, but because she felt hope and terror mixed. Nicole never told a soul. She hid the changes in her body, bought loose clothes, and found new ways to work from home when she could. She saved every penny, knowing what was coming. Bianca was born on a cold morning, her hair thick and dark, her cry fierce. Nicole held her and whispered, "You are loved. You are enough." Every sleepless night, every worry, Nicole told herself she was strong. She watched her baby grow, saw James's eyes in Bianca's, his stubborn mouth, the tilt of her chin. Nicole made up stories when Bianca asked about her father. She never wanted her daughter to feel unwanted, never wanted her to think love was something you could lose. The loneliness pressed in, sometimes so sharply it made her sob into her pillow. But every time she thought of calling James, she remembered how small. She'd felt beside his world, how easy it would be to disappear. She decided to stay quiet, protect Bianca, and find joy in their little world. Back in the park, Nicole's voice was thick with emotion as she finished. "I never wanted to keep her from you. I was afraid you'd want to control everything, afraid you'd see me as weak or greedy or desperate. I needed to stand on my own, for her and for me." James listened, hands tight on his knees. "I wish you'd told me, Nicole. I wish I could have been there." His voice broke, tears swimming in his eyes. She reached out, covering his hand with hers. "I'm sorry. I truly am. I was wrong to decide for both of us." James squeezed her fingers. "I can't get back those years, but I want to try. I want to know her. I want to know you again, Nicole, not just as a memory." Nicole looked up, hope and fear mixing in her gaze. "What does that mean?" James moved closer, his voice rough with need. "It means I want to be a father to Bianca. I want to try, with you. If you'll let me." Nicole searched his eyes, looking for doubt or pity. She found none. All she saw was longing and the promise of something new. She let herself lean against him, just a little, breathing in the scent she'd missed for so long. The city moved on around them, cars, laughter, the quiet hush of a day ending. James brushed a stray curl from her cheek, voice low. "I can't promise I won't make mistakes, but I can promise I won't walk away." Nicole smiled, the first real smile she'd felt in years. "Neither will I." For a while, they sat together in silence, letting their hands speak. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it didn't feel lonely. James barely remembered driving home. The city lights blurred, windshield streaked with rain. His hands trembled on the steering wheel. He had a daughter. He had missed every first word, every step, every birthday. The truth cut deep, mixing regret with a longing that made it hard to breathe. At his penthouse, James poured a drink he didn't want. He stared at the skyline, unable to escape the memory of Nicole's voice. The weight of her confession, the years he could never reclaim. He tried to be angry. He tried to blame her for keeping Bianca from him, but all he saw was a mother fighting to protect her child. All he felt was the echo of his own fear. Fear of being left, fear of not being enough. That night, sleep refused to come. He watched the clock tick past 2, then 3, then 4. When dawn crept in, grey and silent, James rose and got dressed. He knew he wouldn't find peace in this empty apartment. He needed answers. He needed to see Nicole again. Nicole woke to the sound of Bianca's laughter and sunlight pouring through the curtains. The heaviness in her chest was still there, but now it was joined by hope and dread. She packed Bianca's lunch, braided her hair, and walked her to school, holding her daughter's small hand a little tighter than usual. Afterward, Nicole walked the long way to work, needing time to think. She wondered if she had made the right choice. Would James forgive her? Would he fight for Bianca? Could she trust him with both of their hearts? When Nicole reached her desk, James was waiting. He looked rough around the edges, tie loose, eyes bloodshot, nerves raw. She tried to walk past, but he blocked her path. "We need to talk," he said, his voice unsteady. She nodded, following him to a quiet conference room. He shut the door, but didn't lock it. This time, Nicole was grateful for the freedom. James sat down hard, running his hands through his hair. "I didn't sleep last night," he said. "I couldn't stop thinking about everything you told me." Nicole sat across from him, steadying her breath. "I'm sorry for the way you found out," she said quietly. "But I'm not sorry for loving Bianca, or for building a life for her." He met her gaze, pain written across his face. "I lost so much time. I missed her first steps. I missed everything." Nicole's voice softened. "I know. I wish things could have been different." James slammed his fist gently on the table, emotions spilling out. "Why didn't you trust me? Why didn't you let me choose for myself?" Nicole didn't flinch. "Because I was scared, James. I was scared you'd want to control everything. I was scared I'd become invisible, just another secret in your world." He shook his head, regret clear in his eyes. "I would have been there, Nicole. I wanted to be there for you, for her, even if I didn't know it." Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed strong. "I did what I thought was right. Maybe it wasn't fair to you, but it was all I could manage." James stood, pacing the room, searching for answers. "I want to be a father. I want to know Bianca, but I don't know how." Nicole stood too, moving to face him. "You don't have to do it all at once. You just have to show up. She deserves to know you, but I need you to respect our boundaries, James. This isn't about money or power. It's about trust." James nodded, struggling to find the right words. "I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt you, but I need to be in her life." Nicole let herself reach for his hand, their fingers twining. "I want that too. But you have to earn it. You have to prove you're here for her, not just for yourself." He squeezed her hand, a silent promise. "I will. I swear I will." They stood like that for a long time, the past between them, but not blocking the path forward. Nicole wiped her eyes, trying to smile. "Bianca is smart. She's funny. She loves puzzles and she's stubborn, like someone else I know." James laughed, the sound shaky but real. "I want to know everything about her." Nicole stepped back, composing herself. "I'll set up a time. You can meet her this weekend, but it's on my terms. She doesn't know yet. I need to prepare her." James nodded. "I'll wait." "Whatever you need, Nicole." The conversation softened, awkwardness giving way to something tender. James hesitated, voice low. "I've missed you. I never stopped wanting you, even when I tried to forget." Nicole looked at him, heart open and unguarded. "I never stopped wanting you either, but this has to be slow. We can't hurt Bianca with our mistakes." James moved closer, brushing her cheek with his thumb. I'll go as slow as you need. Nicole let herself lean in, their foreheads touching, breath mingling. They stood together, the pain of lost years a shadow between them, but not a wall. Outside, the world moved on. Phones rang, emails chimed, but in that small conference room, a new kind of hope began to grow. Later, as Nicole returned to her desk, she found a message on her phone. "Thank you for trusting me, for letting me try. James." She smiled, wiping away a tear. For the first time in years, the future felt like something she could reach for, not alone but together. That night, Nicole told Bianca a bedtime story about courage. She held her daughter close and whispered, "You're about to meet someone special." Bianca grinned, wide and wild. "Is it a puppy?" Nicole laughed, heart light. Even better. Across town, James stood in his penthouse, staring at a photo of Nicole at a company picnic, Bianca in her arms. He traced their faces, letting himself feel everything: fear, joy, longing, and the beginnings of hope. He promised himself he wouldn't let them down again. Saturday arrived on a breeze of nervous anticipation. Nicole spent the morning trying to keep her hands steady as she braided Bianca's hair. She watched her daughter's face, her smile, her big curious eyes, and wondered how much a little heart could take. Bianca was the best of both of them, clever, kind, always asking why. Today Nicole would introduce her to the man who'd shaped half her soul, even from a distance. James called twice, once to confirm the time and again to ask what Bianca liked to eat. Pancakes with strawberries and whipped cream, Nicole told him, heart fluttering at his effort to get it right. When she hung up, Bianca spun around the room, already dreaming up questions for her special friend. They met at a sunny cafe by the park. Nicole wore a soft blue dress, Bianca wore yellow, her curls bouncing with every step. James stood by the door, nervous for the first time in years. He knelt to Bianca's height and offered his hand. "Hi, I'm James. I've heard you love puzzles." Bianca tilted her head, assessing him with the seriousness only a child could muster. "Do you?" James grinned. "I do. Maybe we can solve one together." Nicole's heart ached with gratitude and fear. They shared breakfast. Bianca told stories between bites. James listened like each word was a gift. Nicole watched them, caught between relief and heartbreak, wondering if this new beginning would hold. Afterward, Bianca darted to the playground. Nicole and James sat on a bench in the shade, close but not quite touching. The silence between them was full, ripe with everything they needed to say. James broke it. "I never imagined being this nervous." Nicole smiled softly. "Parenthood does that." He laughed, a little bitter. "I missed so much. I want to make up for it, but I don't want to push." Nicole looked at him, her gaze open. "She needs time." "So do I." James nodded. "Last night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about you, about what we lost, about what we might still have." Nicole's breath caught. "I'm scared, James. I'm scared of giving you my trust again, of letting you hurt us." He turned, meeting her eyes with all his armor gone. "I'm scared too. I'm scared I'll fail again. I'm scared you'll never forgive me. But mostly, I'm scared of never trying." Nicole reached for his hand. "Try then. But not as my boss. Not as the man with all the answers. Try as the man who once held me like I was the only thing he needed." James squeezed her fingers, voice shaking. "I never stopped needing you." They sat that way until Bianca returned, cheeks flushed, arms full of dandelions. James let her crawl onto his lap, listened as she told him stories, her trust already growing. After the park, Nicole and James walked Bianca home. When the sun set and Bianca was in bed, Nicole found James still on the porch, lost in thought. She stepped outside, wrapped in a light sweater. "Want to come in?" He nodded, grateful. Inside, the apartment felt small but safe, filled with the hum of new beginnings. Nicole made tea. James watched her move, memorizing every detail, the way she tucked hair behind her ear, the way her lips curved when she smiled. She handed him a mug, sat beside him on the couch. The air buzzed with things unsaid. James broke the quiet. Do you ever think about that night? Nicole looked down. Every day. He set his mug aside, turning to face her. Tell me. She hesitated, then let the memory spill out. I was scared. I'd never felt so seen, so wanted. You made me feel like I could have everything, the work, the love, the family. I wanted to believe it was real. James's voice was low. It was real. I just didn't know how to keep it. Nicole met his gaze, tears shining in her eyes. You could have asked me to stay. I would have. Maybe everything would have been different. James reached out, tracing her jaw with trembling fingers. I'm asking you now. Stay, Nicole. Just for tonight. Let's not pretend we don't want this. She closed her eyes, leaning into his touch. The years of distance, the pain, the hope, all of it melted away. Nicole let herself be vulnerable, let herself fall. James kissed her, soft and slow, tasting forgiveness and longing. The kiss deepened, their hands exploring with new tenderness, old hunger. Nicole pulled him closer, her breath catching as his lips trailed down her neck. She felt his heart thundering under her palm, her own pulse matching his. He whispered, "Tell me what you want." Nicole didn't hesitate. I want you, all of you. No more secrets, no more fear. James gathered her in his arms, carrying her to the bedroom, the world outside fading to nothing. Clothes fell away, skin against skin, warmth building until nothing existed but the two of them. Their bodies remembered each other, every touch, every sigh, every desperate plea. They moved together, slow at first, then urgent, years of longing released in each kiss, every whispered name. After, they lay tangled in sheets, breathless and quiet. James traced circles on Nicole's back, his voice rough. I've never felt this safe. Nicole smiled, eyes shining in the dark. You're home now. With me. With us. They stayed awake, talking and touching, letting trust rebuild in the small hours. Nicole told James about Bianca's quirks, her fears, her dreams. James shared his own wounds, his hope that he could be the father and partner she needed. The sun crept in, golden and new. Nicole fell asleep in James's arms, peace settling over them both. For the first time in years, she believed in tomorrow. Morning light drifted across the room, softening every shadow. Nicole woke tangled in warmth, James's arm heavy around her waist. She felt safe, held, but as she blinked into wakefulness, old doubts crept in with the day. What did this mean now? Was last night a new beginning, or only a memory destined to fade? She slipped quietly from the bed, tiptoed to the kitchen, and set coffee brewing. The sounds of Bianca's morning routine filtered through the walls, her chatter to her dolls, the patter of feet. Nicole's heart ached with fierce love. She'd always done this alone. Now, with James in the next room, everything felt uncertain and fragile. James joined her in the kitchen, hair mussed, a cautious hope on his face. "Good morning," he said, voice gentle. Nicole smiled, pouring coffee for them both. "Morning." He reached for her hand, just a soft squeeze, as if asking permission to stay in her life. "I meant what I said last night. I want this. I want you, Nicole. But more than anything, I want to do this right." Nicole watched him, weighing her trust. Doing it right means we go slow. Bianca comes first. We keep her safe. No confusion, no broken promises. James nodded. "I'll follow your lead. I'll earn her trust, and yours." His words brought tears to Nicole's eyes, but she blinked them away. "You'll meet her as a friend, not as her father. Not yet. She needs time." James agreed, relief softening his features. "Whatever it takes." Bianca wandered in, hair wild, holding a stuffed bear. She paused when she saw James. Nicole knelt, arms open. "Sweetheart, remember my friend James?" Bianca nodded, shy but curious. "Will you come to the park with us?" James smiled, kneeling to her level. "If it's okay with your mom, I'd love to." After breakfast, the three walked to the park. James let Bianca lead the way, answering her endless questions, letting her set the pace. Nicole watched them together, hope flickering stronger with every laugh, every shared moment. When Bianca ran ahead to the swings, James took Nicole's hand. "She's incredible," he whispered. Nicole squeezed his fingers. "She's my whole world. If you want a place in her life, you have to show up for both of us." James promised. "I will. I want to be someone you can count on. Not just for a day or a night, but always." Nicole's heart fluttered at the promise, but she kept her guard up. "It's not about what you say, James. It's what you do. I can't risk her heart, or mine, on empty words." He nodded, accepting the challenge. "I know. I'll prove it." They spent the day together, simple and sweet, picnicking, laughing, reading stories under a shady tree. James carried Bianca on his shoulders, helped her feed the ducks, pushed her. On the swing, while Nicole watched, her heart torn between joy and fear. This could be real, she thought, but only if they built it slowly, step by careful step. After the park, James offered to walk them home. Nicole agreed, letting him carry the picnic basket. At the door, he hesitated. "May I come in?" Nicole considered, then nodded. For a little while, inside, Bianca disappeared to her room, humming to herself. James and Nicole sat on the couch, the closeness of the morning now laced with nerves. Nicole broke the silence. "This can't be like before, James. I can't lose myself in you and forget what matters." He reached for her hand, thumb brushing her knuckles. "You won't. I want to be part of your world, not take it over." Nicole's walls lowered just enough to let hope in. She leaned against him, letting his warmth settle her doubts. "I'm scared, James. I'm scared of hoping, scared of falling, scared of what happens if it all falls apart." James pressed a kiss to her hair, soft and reassuring. "So am I, but I'd rather try and fail than walk away again." They sat like that for a long time, hearts beating slow and steady. When James left, he paused at the door. "Thank you, Nicole, for letting me try." She smiled, tired but genuine. "Thank you for wanting to." As days passed, James kept his promises. He called every night, never letting a day go by without checking in. He sent small surprises for Bianca, books, puzzles, drawings, and asked Nicole for her advice before every gift. On weekends, he joined them for breakfast or walks in the park, always letting Bianca set the boundaries. Nicole watched him change, saw the care he put into each moment. He didn't try to rush. He respected her space, her pace. Slowly, she felt her guard slip. Slowly, she began to believe. One evening, after Bianca had gone to bed, James stopped by with takeout. Nicole let him in, feeling the old excitement spark. They ate together, laughing about the day, sharing quiet dreams. After dinner, James stood to leave. Nicole reached for his hand. "Stay," she whispered. He looked at her, eyes searching. "Are you sure?" She nodded, heart full. "I want this, I want you, but only if you're in it for the long haul." James drew her close, his kiss deep and sure. Always. They spent the night in each other's arms, gentle, slow, letting trust and passion intertwine. There was no rush, no desperation, just the sweetness of finding home again. When morning came, Nicole woke with her head on James's chest, his hand resting on her back. She smiled, feeling whole. This was what choosing to try again looked like. Not easy, not perfect, but real. And for the first time in a long time, Nicole was ready to believe in a future built on hope, not fear. The weeks that followed slipped by with a quiet magic Nicole hardly dared to believe. Each morning brought something new, a call from James before sunrise, a quick hello on his way to work, a joke text in the middle of the day. At first, Nicole doubted he could keep up. She'd heard promises before, but James showed up, not just in words, but in the small ways that mattered. He picked Bianca up from school some afternoons, walking her home with stories about animals and adventure. Sometimes they all went out for ice cream. Bianca would watch James with cautious eyes at first, then hand him her drawings or ask him to push her higher on the swings. Nicole saw her daughter's trust growing, one giggle and one gentle answer at a time. James brought groceries and helped Nicole cook dinner, letting Bianca sprinkle cheese on pasta and stir the sauce with a wooden spoon. He listened as Nicole vented about work, encouraged her when she worried about bills, and always asked before making any big plans. It was all new for him, slowing down, learning patience, putting another person first. But he wanted it. He wanted all of it. Nicole was careful. Every step forward made her pause, check herself, measure hope against memory. She set boundaries, no surprises, no rushing, always honesty. James respected every line she drew, never crossing without her say-so. He became a steady presence, one Nicole slowly began to trust, even when fear whispered that it could all disappear. One Friday evening, James arrived with tickets to a children's puppet show at the city library. "Only if you both want to go," he said, handing the envelope to Bianca. Her face lit up, and Nicole felt herself soften just a little more. That night, Bianca sat on James's lap, laughing at the puppets, her hands clutching his. Nicole watched them, her chest tightening with gratitude and something almost like peace. Later, at home, Bianca snuggled under her blankets and whispered, "Can James read me a story?" Nicole nodded, voice thick. James read from Bianca's favorite picture book, his voice gentle, letting the story work its sleepy magic. Afterward, he tucked Bianca in, brushing her curls back. "Good night, Starshine," he whispered. Bianca grinned. "Good night, James." When the door closed, Nicole reached for James, pulling him close. "Thank you," she said, voice trembling, "for seeing her, for loving her." James kissed her, slow and tender. "Thank you for trusting me." The more James showed up, the more Nicole let herself fall back into him. They made love in the soft light of early morning and the quiet hush after midnight. Never hurried, never careless. Each moment was a gentle promise. "I'm here. I'm staying." James opened up too. He shared old wounds, his father's absence, his mother's iron grip, the ache of always feeling second best. Nicole listened, cradling his pain with the same care she gave her own. They became partners in every sense, vulnerable, strong, hopeful, afraid, but always reaching for each other in the dark. One evening, Nicole surprised James with dinner at home. She wore a soft sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. They talked for hours about dreams, Bianca's future, work, the idea of maybe one day building a bigger family. James traced circles on her wrist, eyes bright with possibility. "I want to give you everything you've missed," he whispered. Nicole smiled. "I don't need everything. I just need you to keep choosing us." The next morning, Nicole received a call from Bianca's school. Bianca had drawn a picture of her family, herself, Nicole, and James. The teacher said she wanted to show everyone her daddy. Tears slipped down Nicole's cheeks as she thanked the teacher, heart swelling with pride and hope. James, for his part, stepped deeper into their lives. He learned to braid Bianca's hair, messy, but done with love. He sat through school concerts, clapped the loudest at her dance recital, fixed squeaky cabinet doors, and carried Nicole to bed when she fell asleep on the couch. Every act was another stitch in the fabric of their new family. Nicole's friends noticed the change. "You look lighter," her best friend said. "Like you finally let someone catch you." Nicole smiled, shy and sure at once. "Maybe I did." One night, as autumn rain pattered on the windows, Nicole and James curled together on the couch, Bianca asleep down the hall. "Do you think we're ready?" James whispered, hand brushing her cheek. Nicole met his gaze, honest and vulnerable. "I think we're getting there. Every day I trust you more. Every day I trust myself a little too." James kissed her, their love deep and slow, no fear, no pretense. Just two people choosing each other, again and again, every ordinary day. Nicole whispered against his lips, "I'm not scared anymore. Not when I'm with you." James smiled, holding her close, heart full. "Me neither. We're building something real, Nicole. Something I never thought I'd have." The next morning, Bianca woke early and crawled between them, a tangle of sleepy arms and laughter. Nicole looked at her family, her heart finally at rest. The happiness that bloomed in Nicole's apartment felt fragile, a secret garden behind locked doors. She held it close, treasuring every ordinary day with James and Bianca. But real life, as always, was waiting outside. Their world had changed, but the past wasn't ready to let them go. It started quietly. Whispers in the break room, curious eyes watching Nicole and James talk, speculating about late meetings and new routines. Some of Nicole's colleagues smiled at her differently, others grew distant. She felt the weight of their judgment, subtle but sharp. James, for his part, was used to being watched. He'd built his career on handling scrutiny and outlasting rivals, but nothing prepared him for how protective he felt, how much it mattered, that Nicole walked through the halls with her head held high. He hated the thought that their happiness might cost her peace at work. Nicole didn't shrink from the attention. If anything, she became more determined. She focused on her work, delivered flawless reports, and ignored the gossip. But it hurt. Old fears came creeping back, whispering that she'd never belong in James's world. She worried for Bianca, too. Would James's powerful family accept them, or would they always be outsiders? The answer came on a sharp, bright Saturday morning. Evelyn Kingston, James's mother, called, her voice as crisp as her pearls. "James, I'd like to have you for dinner, and bring your friend and her child." James heard the challenge in her tone, the expectation wrapped in politeness. He knew what was coming. He told Nicole, who hesitated, "Are you sure this is wise?" James squeezed her hand. "We do this together. I'm not ashamed of you or Bianca. I want my mother to see what she's missing." They dressed carefully that evening, Nicole in a simple, elegant dress, Bianca in her favorite shoes. James watched them both, his heart swelling with pride and resolve. At Evelyn's home, the dinner was formal, the silverware heavy, the conversation careful. Evelyn studied Nicole, her eyes missing nothing. "So," she said, "you work for my son?" Nicole nodded, meeting her gaze. "Yes. I've worked at Langford Holdings for 7 years. Evelyn's lips tightened. "And now, you are more than colleagues." James stepped in, voice calm but firm. "Nicole is my partner. Bianca is my daughter. I want you to treat them as family." Evelyn's surprise flickered, then cooled into reserve. She turned to Bianca. "And what do you like to do, young lady?" Bianca smiled, fearless. "I like puzzles and stories, and I love my mommy and James." The innocence in her words softened the room, if only for a moment. The rest of dinner passed in a careful truce. When it was over, Evelyn walked Nicole to the door. "I underestimated you," she said quietly. "You are strong. My son needs someone who can stand beside him." Nicole met her gaze, her voice steady. "He doesn't need me to stand behind him, or in front. Only beside. That's all I want." Evelyn nodded, something like respect in her eyes. James felt relief as they left, wrapping his arm around Nicole's waist. In the car, he turned to her. "You were perfect." Nicole laughed, the tension melting. "We survived." The next challenge came at work. Word of James's relationship with Nicole reached the board. Questions were raised, about favoritism, about professionalism. James called a meeting. He spoke plainly. Nicole earned everything on her own. "Our relationship changes nothing about her work. If anyone has a problem with that, take it up with me." Nicole stood beside him, letting her work speak for itself. In the days that followed, she ignored the gossip and kept her focus. James admired her resilience, her refusal to let the world define her. One afternoon, Nicole found a nasty note in her mailbox. "Gold digger." She read it, let the pain flash across her face, then tore it in half. She threw it away and went back to work. James saw the hurt, pulled her aside, and cupped her face in his hands. "You don't have to fight alone. I'm here. Always." She let herself lean on him, just for a moment, then straightened. "I know, but I can fight for myself too." At home, Bianca sensed the tension. She climbed onto Nicole's lap and hugged her tight. "Are we still a family?" she whispered. Nicole kissed her forehead. "We're always a family, no matter what." James watched them, pride and gratitude warring with anger. He hated that the world tried to make love feel like a crime. But he loved Nicole's strength, her refusal to break. He found ways to protect her, calling out bad behavior at work, shutting down gossip, standing up for her in meetings and at home. One evening, Nicole cooked dinner while James set the table and Bianca colored nearby. As they ate together, Nicole felt the world's weight fade, replaced by something steady and warm. After dinner, James held her close. "This won't be easy. But I won't let anyone push you out of my life." Nicole nodded. "We're stronger together, James. Let's keep choosing each other every single day." He kissed her, their love a silent promise. We will not let the world win. As autumn deepened, so did their bond. Together, they faced every challenge, every whisper, every cold glance. And every time the past tried to tear them apart, Nicole and James stood side by side, loving harder, fighting smarter, and refusing to give up on what they'd built. In the end, the world learned to accept what it could not break. And in the small, ordinary moments, the laughter, the shared chores, the bedtime stories, Nicole knew she'd finally found her home. Winter crept into the city, dusting rooftops and filling the air with holiday anticipation. Nicole woke most mornings to the soft press of Bianca's cheek against hers and the heavier warmth of James's arm at her side. Their world was simple, built on early breakfasts, homework help, and slow dances in the living room when Bianca fell asleep. Yet, even with all this joy, a quiet question pulsed under Nicole's skin. Would this last? Could love really hold, now that everything had changed? James seemed lighter, the old tension in his shoulders slowly melting away. He'd learned to slow down, to listen, to play, to cherish every mess and every miracle that came with family. He left work earlier now, showing up for school recitals, dentist appointments, and lazy Saturday pancakes. He wore fatherhood with a pride and humility Nicole had never imagined, from the man who once lived behind a fortress of steel and glass. But even as their life grew richer, Nicole kept her guard high. She knew what it was to lose everything. She'd built her happiness brick by brick, and she guarded it with every breath. One December evening, James came home with a nervous energy Nicole recognized from the first days of their courtship. Bianca was at a sleepover. The apartment was quiet, the city outside sparkling with holiday lights. James poured Nicole a glass of wine, then sat beside her on the couch, eyes serious. "I've been thinking," he said, taking her hand, "about us, about all the things we lost and all the things we found again." Nicole studied his face, searching for signs of doubt. She saw none, only the love and longing that had carried them through every storm. "I want to build a new life with you, Nicole, not just as partners, not just as parents, but as a family, one with no secrets, no locked doors, only trust, honesty, and the love we fought so hard to find." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Nicole's breath caught as he opened it. Inside, a ring gleamed, simple, elegant, set with a single diamond that seemed to glow with its own soft light. James knelt, his eyes never leaving hers. "I'm not asking you as the CEO, or as the man who failed you once. I'm asking as the man who has been remade by loving you. Will you marry me, Nicole? Will you let me be your family for the rest of our lives?" For a moment, time froze. Nicole felt every year of longing, every wound, every hope swirl inside her. She thought of Bianca, of lonely nights and new mornings, of what it meant to finally choose joy. Tears filled her eyes as she nodded, words tangled in her throat. "Yes, James. Yes." He slid the ring onto her finger, his hands shaking. They wrapped each other in an embrace, laughter and tears mingling as joy burst wide open between them. Later, as snow began to fall, Nicole whispered, "I'm not saying yes for your money or your title. I'm saying yes because you make me feel safe, because I know you'll fight for us and with us. That's all I need." James cupped her face, his lips brushing her forehead. "That's all I want too." They celebrated with takeout and dancing in the kitchen, Nicole spinning barefoot, James laughing as he tried to keep up. When Bianca came home, she squealed with delight, hugging them both and demanding to see the ring. The wedding was small and sweet, just after the new year. Friends and family gathered in a garden under a pale winter sun. Bianca stood between Nicole and James, proud and glowing, clutching their hands as vows were exchanged. James's mother, Evelyn, surprised them all. She brought a bouquet of white roses and hugged Nicole with real warmth. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving my son a home." As the ceremony ended, James took Nicole's hands, eyes shining with a new kind of promise. "I will lock every door that keeps pain out, but I'll never lock you away from your happiness. You and Bianca, you're my world now." Nicole smiled, heart full. "Let's build a life with no closed doors, only open arms." Their first dance was slow and full of laughter, Bianca spinning between them. Later, at home, James carried Nicole over the threshold. He locked the front door, not to trap her, but to keep the world out, just for a little while. Inside, their love was safe, real, and finally whole. That night, with Bianca asleep in her room, Nicole and James lay in each other's arms, whispering dreams and sharing hopes. They spoke of the past, not with bitterness, but as proof of how far they'd come. James traced the ring on Nicole's finger. "You changed my world," he murmured. Nicole pressed her lips to his, soft and certain. "You gave me a new one." They fell asleep, the city quiet around them, the world outside locked away. In the morning, sunlight danced across their bed, a new day beginning for a family that had learned, through every struggle, every secret, every hard-won joy, to always choose each other. Have you ever found a love worth fighting for? Share your story in the comments and subscribe for more tales where hope and honesty win. Years passed, each season adding new layers to the life Nicole, James, and Bianca built together. Their home was never grand, but it was always warm, filled with laughter, music, the thud of little feet, and the gentle hum of quiet moments. Nicole still woke early some days, her old doubts whispering, but every sunrise brought proof that love, when chosen every day, becomes the safest thing of all. James kept his promise. He was there for every scraped knee, every parent-teacher meeting, every stormy night. He never tried to control Nicole's world, but made himself a part of it, side by side, as she'd asked. Bianca grew bold and bright, knowing she was wanted by both parents, never left wondering if she was enough. Nicole's journey had never been easy. She learned that forgiveness was not a single act, but 1,000 small decisions to trust again. She discovered that true intimacy isn't about how close you get, but how honest you are, even when the truth hurts. She learned that family is not about perfection or wealth, but about choosing each other again and again, even when it's hard. James changed too. He learned to let go of old fears, to admit his mistakes, and try again. He stopped locking doors out of fear and started opening them to love, to the messy, beautiful life he never believed he deserved. Their story was not a fairy tale. There were hard days, bitter fights, moments when the past threatened to pull them apart. But every time they returned to what mattered: honesty, forgiveness, the willingness to try again. In this, they found their strength. One evening, Bianca asked Nicole, "What makes a family real?" Nicole smiled, pulling her close. "A family is real when you know you can always come home, when you are loved, even on your worst day, when you fight for each other, not against each other. That's what makes us real." As years unfolded, James and Nicole watched Bianca grow into a person with her own dreams, her own heartaches and joys. They held on to each other, proud and grateful for every day they got to be a family. Sometimes, James would lock the front door at night and turn to Nicole with a smile, remembering the day everything changed. "This door is only to keep us safe," he'd say. "Our hearts stay open." Nicole would laugh, wrap her arms around him, and together they'd face whatever tomorrow brought, secure in the love they had built from truth, trust, and forgiveness. If this story moved you, let us know. Share your thoughts in the comments. Would you fight for your family, even after heartbreak? What's the biggest lesson you've learned about love and forgiveness? Subscribe now for more stories that remind you, no matter how hard the journey, you are never alone. Your story can change, your heart can heal, and a new beginning is always possible. Thank you for being part of the Mr. Leonardo Stories family. Until next time, keep believing, keep loving, and keep coming home.